All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is October 16th, 2025. My name is John Kerrigan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all my paying subscribers. Let's take a look at the markets today. See how I made 11K with a 66K account. Let's peek at the markets. All right, on QQQ and SPY. Let's see what we got here. Let's move this out of the way, move this out of the way. And let's look at 10-minute chart. And which one do I want? I want the one with the pre-market on there. Okay, 10-minute chart right there. Okay, so we had bullish consolidation over prior consolidation. So my instructions for myself this morning, pick off the lows of the opening candles, all right, for a trip up here. Again, we couldn't break the rubber band candle, and price got recalled back to VWAP once again on QQQ and SPY. Okay, again, pick off the lows. Here's the attached candle. There's the rubber band candle. No close over the rubber band candle, and price melted down from there. Okay, notice right here. Here's the bullish spike candle, the biggest one that's still attached to VWAP. There's the rubber band candle. No close over it, and therefore price gets recalled back to VWAP, and then we start to head down lower. All right, so there's SPY. Very little 10-minute uptrend. I think it lasted one candle, and then that's it. The rest of the day was mostly 10-minute downtrend. Let's take a peek over here. Okay, mostly 10-minute downtrend. Closed out right here on a pop back to the trend line, and then we find ourselves melting down underneath here. Still looking for price, made a higher low. Looking for price to make a trip back up to VWAP right about here. Right where the all-time high anchored VWAP is, and the regular VWAP, and where this intersects this uptrend line. So looking for price to come back up to here. All right, we'll see what it wants to do later this evening, but I'm picturing price coming back to here, then either rolling over or climbing on top and consolidating. Okay, so a little bit weakness there in SPY. So downtrend and then another downtrend right there. So, price is kind of melting up from here. We'll see what happens. All right, so let's take a look at first 10-minute chart. 10-minute chart has a weak 2-candle uptrend coming into the close. Okay, 10-minute chart, weak 2-candle uptrend. 2-hour chart has a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. On the daily chart has still in a downtrend. We have not made a higher high. The good news is we're not moving down. Price action today, big range, a lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap and under the 17 EMA. Yesterday we closed over a bullish trap and over the 17. Today we're back under the bearish trap and under the 17 on SPY. Weekly chart still in an uptrend. Monthly chart still in an uptrend right there. So there's SPY on the different time frames right through there. So SPY on the 10-minute, as you can see, all right, I said I'd pick off the lows, looking for that bullish bias, which didn't go anywhere. Kind of the same thing as yesterday, bullish bias. These candles were much better than these candles right here. So maybe something to make a note of. We'll see what happens. We'll take a look at the technicals, see what's going on in there. Again, I said it was a mixed bag, all right, of information or this morning, so was not sure which direction it would go, but my bias was bullish based on the consolidation up here over prior consolidation. I did say that once we were up here before, the bears took over and sold price off. So here it is, we're up. We got up into this area, put the crosshairs on it. Okay, we got up into this area right up here, of course, and the bears took over and sold price off once again. It's like deja vu from yesterday only we didn't get the nice green candles we got yesterday. Okay, so there's SPY on the 10-minute chart. Weak, two candle uptrend coming into the close. Still a 2-hour downtrend on SPY. Okay, so you saw the daily chart. Let's take a look at QQQ. Week 3 candle uptrend on QQQ. All right, looking for price to come back to VWAP right here. Price action for 2-hour chart, probably a 2-hour downtrend, and it is. Notice the candles underneath the yellow 3 EMA, yellow 3, and the candles underneath the white 8 EMA. So 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. On the daily chart, outside day, higher high, lower low, but closing just like SPY under the bearish trap and under the 17 EMA QQQ on the daily chart right there. Okay, so you can see price action still not in the lower third. If I were to put the quad lines on here, you can see we're still in the neutral territory. Let's take a look at SPY. All right, and we'll put the quad lines on that as well. Just going to remove this and remove that. Okay, put the quad lines on that. Okay, you can see almost knocking on the door of the bearish territory right there. That's pretty darn close. Closing down there by 660. Okay, so knocking on the door of the bearish 1/3. All right, so take a look at it over here. And yeah, not quite. Yeah, still knocking on the door, knocking on the door of the bearish 1/3. Okay, so there's SPY. SPY still, like I said, still bullish up here from this perspective. Neutral from this perspective. Still in a downtrend that's not moving down. QQQ still remains in an uptrend because they never broke a lower low. Their low is down here. Let's take a look at IWM, see what they did today. All right, lower high, lower low, closing under a bullish trap over the rising 17. Okay, they're still bullish and still in an uptrend up there. Diamond Dow. Diamond Dow, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap just like SPY under the 17 EMA. Notice Diamond Dow closing in the lower third, so they're bearish from the short-term perspective. Still up there in quadrant 4 from the long-term perspective, so that's bullish up there. So neutral bullish on Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at FNGU, see if they gave us any help at all today. Okay, outside day, higher high, lower low, closing yet again underneath the bearish trap, just like SPY and QQQ, under the 17 here. 17 starting to fall as opposed to moving straight across. In the bearish territory down here in quadrant 1, all right, and tackling the lows once again, but failure to make a significant lower low. There's FNGU on the daily chart, still in a daily downtrend because they broke this low right here and they made lower lows, so they're still stuck in that daily downtrend. They're not moving down, but they are moving over to the right. They seem to be setting up some kind of sloppy consolidation under prior consolidation. That's what it seems like to me at this time. Okay, still up there at the top of quadrant 4. I would call this kind of neutral bullish up there. Maybe they can recover this after 3 days of selling. Actually, about 4 days of selling right here underneath all of this consolidation. Maybe we get a turnaround tomorrow. We'll see. It's options expiration Friday. All right, let's take a look at gold. Okay, gold, new all-time high for gold, almost up to 400. All right, gold, new all-time high. Silver, new all-time high for silver. Okay, both, I'll pan way out, bullish and in an uptrend. Gold, again, bullish and in an uptrend right there. Okay, US, let's take a look at UNG. UNG makes a new all-time low today. Lower high, outside day, but new all-time low. Lower low and higher high, closing under a bearish trap, under the 17. Bottom of quadrant 1, that's bearish. Still in a downtrend. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO climbing into or dipping into the lower third. That's going to be bearish and in a downtrend. All right, so USO dipping into the lower third. That's bearish and in a downtrend right there. Price action, lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap underneath the 17 EMA. Okay, that's USO. Take a look at our technicals. T2101 right here, T2101. Again, when the bulls are running, we don't know what happened there. This is today's candle. When the bulls were running, you can see the market breadth drops. All right, but when the bears start running, a lot of market breadth increasing. Okay, so as price pulled back, again, we got an increase in market participation or market breadth. Noticing a higher high over yesterday's high. Okay, so a little more market breadth, a little more participation coming in on these pullbacks. T2101. Okay, again, we made the double bottom down here and here, and that's what put us where we are now. Okay, so there's T2101, T2122. Yes, we're no longer in the buyer's chop zone. Spent most of the day in the seller's chop zone, knocking on the sell zone door. Bulls would not let us in right there. So T2123 probably going to be mostly red based on T2122 parking inside the seller's chop zone right there. It's T2123. Okay, we have a low. We made lower lows. You can see a little bit of bullishness at the beginning of the day and then selling after the bears took over right here. Lower low. So back to a downtrend for T2123. Still underneath the 200 SMA. Not a great place to be. Probably going to roll over and test these lows down here. So there's T2123. Back to a downtrend and still underneath the 200 SMA. On the 3-bar chart. Okay, we got price. Still has not made a higher high, so we're still in a downtrend on the 3-bar chart. Here's a low. All right, there's a high. We made a lower high and a lower low. All right, and you can see we're underneath that rising 200 SMA. Really don't want to break the rubber band candle based on the T2123, based on the 200 SMA right there. Okay, but price now back underneath the 200 SMA. Not the greatest place to be. Okay, hopefully all these pullbacks, they're loading up on spinach and mustard to make a Popeye performance later in maybe in November. We'll see. All right. Hopefully they're loading up on spinach and mustard to make a nice performance later on. Again, I think maybe some of the large caps report later on in the month that may give us some juice later on in the month. We'll see. There's T2123 FNGU. Again, no help today. A little bullishness, unable to get on top of the 200. And then, of course, you can see where the bears took over. Failure to make a significant higher high. The bears took over and dug out a lower low. So 15-minute on the FNGU, still in a downtrend right there. So there's 15-minute for FNGU. So no help from FNGU. We're starting to develop some consolidation, kind of mixed bag, kind of on the same latitude or plane as prior consolidation, but I'm starting to pick up some more. Notice today's price action under prior consolidation, which makes this a bearish environment right here. Okay, still in a 15-minute downtrend, and we're getting some bearish environment by price consolidating under prior consolidation right here. So all in all, walking away from today, I would say that the bears definitely own the day. And I think based on what I've seen so far, I think they're going to own tomorrow as well. We'll see what happens if price can actually make it back to VWAP. We'll find out later today. All right, Alpha Dog. Fido checking back in. No fun today. Back to VWAP. Yes. That's it. All right, traders, that's it for me for today. We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Maybe we'll finally get an uptrend tomorrow. Remember, we've been picking off the lows of those candles, and they give us a little pop, and then they pull the rug out from under us yet again. Okay, so probably going to do the same thing again to us tomorrow. We'll see. All right. Thanks, Robert, Fahad, Alan, and everybody. Julie, appreciate it. And Rick. Rick had a nice day, made 6 daily goals. Love it, Rick. All right, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, and hopefully we have a better trading day tomorrow. Okay, thank you so much.